What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am DL here with another movie review. Today we're going to be talking about Gladiator 2, the much anticipated sequel to the original Gladiator that came out in 2000. Uh, I I would say most anticipated sequel. I would take that very lightly because did people really want to see a sequel to the original Gladiator? I don't think so, but here we are. Yeah, once again, Ridley Scott came back to direct this. I apologize for being so late with this review. There's been a lot going on with me, personal wise, trying to catch up with as much as I can before the end of the year. So hopefully, I'll be able to get as much reviews out there for you guys. But anyway, enough of those shenanigans. Let us finally get into Gladiator 2. So, you guys have been following my channel. You guys know how I feel about Ridley Scott as of late. There was a time where I thought he was one of the best filmmakers out there. Obviously, I loved what he did with the first Alien movie. I think that's a groundbreaking sci-fi horror film. I did review that on the channel. You guys could check that out if you want. And I know there's people out there that love the Blade Runner films. Like, people enjoyed his first Blade Runner. I'm personally not the biggest fan of Blade Runner, but I definitely respect what that movie did for the industry in general. And then, of course, there is the original Gladiator from 2000. Honestly, I think that is also one of Ridley Scott's best films. I really enjoyed the first Gladiator. Had a lot of gravitas. The action there is amazing. The cinematography is awesome. The storytelling in that is very, very good in that. So a lot of people didn't expect for really to go back to that pot, because the first Gladiator was such a self-contained story. Like, it didn't really need any sequels. Like, the main protagonist of that film, spoilers, dies at the end of the first movie. I mean, honestly, if you guys haven't seen the first Gladiator, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you need to go and watch it. Apologize if that was a spoiler for people, but like, I think that's important to say before getting into this film, because how was Ridley Scott going to make a sequel to the first movie when the main protagonist of the first film died? I don't understand that. This has been a project that Ridley Scott's been working on for a long time, and there were some other ideas that he had for the sequel that I thought was just absolutely bonkers. Like, gonna have Russell Crowe's character in the first film, like, fight out of hell or something, and I'm just like, what are we doing right now? Like, what are we doing all this supernatural stuff all of a sudden? The first film was such a grounded story. Like, why are we going crazy and bombastic with supernatural stuff? I'm so glad that he scrapped that idea, but instead they decided to follow Lucilia's son for the sequel, and I'm like, oh, okay. So the kid from the first movie, where you see him all grown up. Okay, I mean, I guess that's all right, but I don't know if that's going to hold the same weight as what Russell Crowe did in the first movie. But that's fine. Ridley Scott in general, I forgot to say, like, as of late, his movies, I have not liked a lot of them. I feel like he's fallen hard from grace over the past decade or more. I haven't enjoyed a lot of his movies. Other than stuff like The Martian. The Martian was pretty good, actually, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that I thought wasn't good. Prometheus. I reviewed Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I did not enjoy those films at all. The Last Duel didn't do much for him. House of Gucci, people were very mixed on. Exodus, Gods and Kings, that shouldn't even been made. Like, Ridley, I commend him that he's able to make so many films, at his age. Like, he's still, like, just pumping out these really awesome looking films, at least from a visual and cinematography direction standpoint. But just the quality of the writing, that's been very hit or miss, and that's me being nice. So I didn't expect anything from this Gladiator sequel. I didn't even think they should have made this. As for a lot of people, But then hearing the talent that they're going to have for the second movie, they're actually going to have Denzel Washington be in this movie, Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn, Connie Nelson's coming back, obviously. So I'm like, okay, the cast is pretty solid here, but I don't know what direction are they going to go with this, with the sequel with Lucius, Lucilia's son, being the main protagonist of the film. Is he going to hold a candle to Russell Crowe? I don't even know. And like, with the antagonist in here, would hold a candle to Joaquin Phoenix's performance? I don't know, but crossing my fingers that it'll be all right. And after watching this, yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. But a little bit more. I'm downplaying it a little too much. Gladiator 2 I thought was a solid movie. I thought it was solid. It was entertaining to watch. Ended up being a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Obviously because I didn't really know what to expect from this film, but yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I definitely don't think this holds a candle to the original film. But, as far as the action, as far as the cinematography and the performances, for the most part, are really good in this. But I don't know. I feel, once again, watching this, I felt like they still didn't need to make this. Did this really add anything to the original movie? Not necessarily. Honestly, it feels more of the same. Except they're putting more of an emphasis on the action and the spectacle of the Coliseum fights, which, I'm sure the general audience will have a good time with the action scenes in here. Definitely, they didn't waste any time getting to the Coliseum stuff, which I guess I would say is the highlight of it. Ridley Scott, for as many issues that I have with him, I will say that he definitely has an eye for cinematography, and the scope of his movies always feel grand and big, and this movie is no exception. This movie is gorgeous. This is amazing to watch. The action season here, I thought, was very well directed and very well shot. The choreography was really, really cool. Arguably, I think this has more entertaining fight scenes than the first film. Definitely, they wanted to be more creative with the set pieces here, which I thought was a little bit more exciting. And yeah, so I thought that stuff was good. Denzel Washington. Yes, I'm sure most people have heard, how much he stole the movie, and they're absolutely correct. Denzel Washington is having a blast in this role. I don't want to spoil too much of what he does, but definitely him being the person helping Lucius to fight in the Colosseum, pretty much being the quote slave owner to Lucius, but also trying to help him to get revenge on Pedro Pascal's character, which we'll talk about later. I thought all that stuff was really cool, and also it was very unpredictable where his character was going to go, because his motives, he really kept it close to the vest, and there'll be certain choices and certain stuff that he does in the movie where it's you don't fully expect what he's going to do, but it definitely makes it a lot more interesting and not as predictable. And, there are definitely times where he was hamming it up, sometimes a little too much, but still, he was very, very fun to watch. So definitely, I think the best performance in here was him. As far as Lucius, our main protagonist here, played by Paul Mescal, you know what? I thought he was pretty solid. I thought he did well with what he was given. Obviously, I don't think he has the charisma that Russell Crowe did in the first film, but definitely he gave it his all in this. Once again, I didn't really know what to expect from him because I never heard of this actor before, but definitely I think he did a good job. I will say with his backstory and how it connects to the overall stuff in Rome, I thought was very good. Once again, I don't want to spoil what it is, but definitely there was a lot more tragedy and heartbreak when it came to his character that I did not expect. It's a little, I would say, for some people they may find it a little cliche with his motivation a little bit, but I thought it worked for what they were doing, with the story. And then Pedro Pascal as General Acacius, thought he was really good too. At first, I thought he was just going to be like just another like mustache twirling bad guy in here because he's the main general of Rome. So I was expecting him to have more of a sinister performance, but actually, what I was surprised to see was that he actually wasn't a one-dimensional villain. It's like he has his own personal motivations, and like he actually doesn't care for all the glory and greed of being a general of Rome. And it's like, he actually has a little bit of sympathy when it comes to, other people. So it actually made him a little bit more dimensional than I thought he was going to be at first. So Pedro Pascal, I thought, did a really good job here. Connie Nelson as Lucia, Lucilia. I'm sorry, I said her name wrong, but I thought she was good. She I wish they could have gave her a little bit more to do. It's not like she wasn't important to the story, but like it didn't feel like she had that much screen time here. And like definitely I liked the moments that she had with her son Lucius. Like that's one of the more heartfelt moments of the movie. But I just wish there was a little bit more there, because that was one of the few moments in the movie where I actually felt some gravitas and weight to the overall story of the film. Performance wise, she was fine. She didn't really do anything that was like, that blew me away necessarily, but once again, I thought she was solid, helped to contribute to the whole thing with Lucius as well. And then we have the new emperors of Rome, the twins, played by Joseph Quinn and Fred Heikinger. Now, these guys, like, I thought was hammering it up even more than Denzel Washington. Like, these guys are definitely the mustache twirling villains of the film. Like, if you thought Joaquin Phoenix was over the top in the first movie, just watch these twins, like, just go crazy. Like, in a way, I think it kind of works for what they were going for, but I definitely understand if people look at their performance and think that is too crazy and wacky and over the top. But for me, I thought it was very entertaining to watch. Okay, so regarding some of my issues with this movie, one of my more bigger issues, going back to the action scenes. While yes, I did think these are more entertaining fight scenes, specifically when they get to the Coliseum fights, there were certain set pieces that I was like thinking in the back of my mind, wait a minute, were they actually able to do this back then? Like did they even have this stuff going on? I'm not spoiling anything because I'm just going to be revealing the stuff that they showed in the trailers. But for instance, they have a Coliseum fight where they're filling the Coliseum with water, and they have sails, like they have boats sailing in the Coliseum, and they're having like this boat battle in the Coliseum with sharks. And I'm like, how were you able to do that in this old Coliseum? Like, how are you able to fill up this Coliseum with water? Like, how did you get sharks? That was the biggest jumping the shark moment here for me. Like, that type of stuff, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And then you have people riding on rhinoceroses, killing people with the horns and whatever. I'm like, okay, that's a little out there too. And then they have these roided out monkeys. Like, wait a minute, where did they get roided out monkeys from? Is that even real? Like, this is the type of supernatural stuff that I think really was trying to creep in there a little bit. But I'm like, okay, wait a minute, dude. Like, this is fun to watch. It's entertaining. There's probably some people that don't care how over the top the action scenes are. But once again, the original Gladiator was such a grounded movie. They didn't have these over the top elements in here. At most, they had a bunch of tigers trying to attack the humans in the Colosseum. But that's at most the most over the top thing in that first movie. And then in this, like, we have boat battles in the Coliseum with sharks. We have roided out monkeys. We have people riding on rhinoceroses. I don't know. That was just a little much for me. And once again, going back to the gravitas and weight of the story, like, this story does feel a lot more simplistic than the first film. And some people, if they just came to see the spectacle of the Coliseum fights, that probably won't bother them. But for me, I was just hoping that they would put a little more detail in the story, because like they do have something there with Lucius as far as his motivation, and I thought they also have something with General Acacius that they could have put a little more emphasis on. It's there, but they could have spent a little more time with it instead of just putting so much focus on the gladiator fights. But I digress. Overall, I do think this is a solid, entertaining film. I guess looking back, comparing to Ridley Scott's previous films, this is probably the best or most entertaining film he's done in years. I actually enjoyed a Ridley Scott film. Did I walk out of this thinking it was necessary for them to make this movie? No, not really. But I'm actually kind of glad that I saw this because I had a fun time. I actually do like the creativity of the fight scenes. I do think that the performances, for the most part, were really good. And like the few moments where it actually was really serious, and intimate with the story, I thought that kind of worked. But I wish they just focused on that a little bit more. Tried to add a little bit more to the story, because like the actors, they're giving it their all, and it's like, once again, I'm not expecting this to be better than the first movie, but just like, I just wish that they had that emotional resonance that they had with the first film. So overall, I will give Gladiator 2, I'll give it a B. It's pretty good. It's entertaining. If you are a fan of the first Gladiator, you might want to turn your brain off a little bit, but I do think it's worth watching if you are a fan of the Gladiator films. But if you are expecting the serious, grounded, like, and really complex storytelling that the first movie did, you're not going to get it here, but you will have fun with the action scenes at the very least. But those are my thoughts on Gladiator 2. What did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? How does it compare to the first film? Are you guys glad they made this second movie, or do you wish that they just never made a sequel at all? Comment your thoughts down below and let me know. If you guys enjoyed this review, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. But that's all I have for you Gladiator fans, and I'll catch you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. Are you not entertained?